Hello and welcome to the EFM Health Club Podcast for another week. With me, as always, is both Wade Brady and Jason Jesusius. How are you guys?
Good, thanks.
Good, Justin.
We have a very special guest today on the podcast, and I think we'll get it's a bit different in terms of it's a little bit aside to our normal fitness and how to be healthy, how to be fit conversation. We're going to take a little tangent. I think it'll be really, really interesting. So, Wade, you're with our special guest. Do you want to do the introductions and we'll get started from there?
Yeah, well, today we've got James. He's James Rickard. He's been kind enough to come along and answer a few questions for us today. He's been a member at our EFM for it's over 12 years. It's probably more like 13 or 14 years now. So, and he's from the interesting space of marketing and advertising. And I do like talking to James and picking his brains on lots of topics because I think sales and marketing goes a lot further than just seeing an ad on TV or whatever. And I think the original question, the overarching question I wanted to ask James today, and then there's lots of other questions that would stem off it, but the whole looking outside myself and wanting to help other people. And the first question I said to you in the gym a few weeks ago is, can you sell exercise to anybody? And I didn't know the answer to that, but what did you say? Can you remember?
Probably, yeah. You can sell anything to anybody is the answer. You just got to find the right way of doing it. That's the reality. So, I've spent 40 plus years in the advertising industry as a creative director and copywriter, and as part of that, I'm lucky enough in that industry to experience so many different industries. So I've worked in ethical pharmaceuticals, in premium beer and wine, in motorsport. You name a category, I've sort of touched it in some way, shape, or form. But the problem is always the same problem, and that is we need to get a new audience to be aware of our product or our brand, and then inquire or purchase. So there's a what we call a path to purchase funnel that is consistent across every single category, every single product. Which is how do you move people along that funnel to when they buy.
And this, like, I guess, fitness though isn't an impulse buy. Like I guess not everybody is.
Oh, it can be.
It can be.
Yeah, well, it was for me.
Yeah.
If you remember, my impulse was with my wife and two young boys. We were climbing up the outside of Wilpena Pound at St Mary Peak, and I'd played sport all my life, and then I had knee reconstruction and stopped playing when I was about 36. And about 7 or 8 years later, I went up to climb St Mary's Peak, thinking I was naturally fit. And I thought I was going to die. I couldn't believe it. I was really struggling. I went, wow, I need to do something. And literally, 2 weeks later, I came back and said, right, went up to the EFM at Ross Trevor and said, I've got to fix this. What do I do? So it scared me. But everybody's different. Everybody has a different motivation, and that's one of the most difficult things in advertising and promotion is that there's not a one-size-fits-all solution. Everybody's unique. They've got different life stages. They've got different priorities. They've got different financial situations. So there's a lot of moving parts that you need to be aware of.
Yeah, that's correct.
And so why did you end up choosing EFM, James? Like, what was it about that?
Yeah, I'd been to gyms before, and my feeling for EFM that I've been exposed to was that it wasn't all lycra lovies and he-men looking at themselves in mirrors. That was kind of and I've been there and I hated that, and I just didn't want to. Gyms put me off because just gym, the umbrella word gym gives you connotations of that, and I didn't want to go there. And I suppose the fact that it was walking distance from home, when I went in and had a look, it kind of suited the vibe of the place, suited what I was after. So
how many visits have you done?
I don't know. It's not that long. It's only about 8 years. But anyway, about 1,500, I think.
1,500. Yeah, that's a good number.
I looked up one of those videos, one of the ads you were involved in with the Barossa, and that was posted 11 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's been a while. It's been definitely over 1,000 though. I'm not the statistical man Jason is over there, but he's done a lot of sessions, and I've known James for a long time, and he's had his own battles with his back and his lower legs and all these issues. But I think you're going about as well as you ever have been.
Yeah, it has been pretty good lately.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Because I think you just mentioned there that connotation of the word gym, what it kind of the mental pictures that people have in their brain of or in their mind of what a gym is. Do you think that's one of the biggest hurdles that I guess the gym industry have, fitness industry, but also because I want to keep thinking about how we help people who don't do fitness, don't do anything, how we get them to that next stage of the funnel, as you mentioned, is that misconception of what most gyms are like. Is that one of the big hurdles, do you think?
Potentially. I mean, ideally what you do is research that as an industry and really find out. I mean, in my experience, yes, it is, but I'm and we're famous in our industry of doing the survey of one and then thinking that is exactly the answer, and it's not necessarily. So you need to dig a bit deeper. But I think there is a perception problem, and look, and the market's changing all the time. We've got people from all ages. We've got people here in their 70s and 60s and 70s that are regular active participants. But you've got a younger market coming through, and they've got a very different perception of fitness. Their perception is well-being. So it's less about it's still doing the same exercises or choosing from a raft of exercises, but it's more about wholeness and wellness rather than fitness. So and that's just a shift in attitude as markets evolve.
Yeah, I like I mentioned, I wanted to really see if we could kind of help people. So the listener, this is great information for the three of us, but how do we get a husband or a wife to convince their better half or worse half to start doing a little bit? What do you think maybe the fitness industry, let's take the older age group, we kind of segment a little bit, maybe we'll go older and then younger, because younger people seem to, it's part of their life, it's a little more ingrained. That maybe the older demographic, how do we kind of, what things should we be doing or maybe not doing to help those people down that journey a little further till they're kind of doing something?
And I'll just sort of say, I think that is such a powerful question because I see it's such a pain point for a lot of people I know. They get frustrated with loved ones that just won't give it a go. I'm not saying with EFM, they just don't give it a go at all. And like, if you can answer this question, I think you're going to make a lot of money.
I'd probably like to make a lot of money as well.
Yeah,
that's really not a question. No, look, it's not a straightforward one to answer. I don't think, because again, everybody's motivation is different. And I use these couple of things when I present to clients, and that is that nobody in the world wants a 10mm drill bit. They need a 10mm hole. Right? So it's not about the product; it's about the benefit. Well, what do I need? What's in it for me? Don't tell me what's in it. Tell me what's in it for me. And this is the thing. Every communication for any successful brand or business gets down to that very thing. What am I going to get out of it? Right? And he goes, "Oh, you can be fit and healthy." You go, "Yeah, but that's just too generic. What specifically is going to be a benefit to me?" And again, motivations are quite different. It could be just like just keeping up with your grandchildren. Having the energy, the physical energy and flexibility to maintain a great relationship with your grandchildren as they grow up. That could be for someone. To the other extreme, I mean, what's the greatest motivation for most men, particularly men most men over 60? If you could draw a link to say, regular exercise 3 times a week is going to give you a stronger, harder erection. That's
I'm in.
Yeah, but seriously, but when you talk about blood flow and circulation, all those things, that is a factor. Now, so those motivations are different for every person.
What's that pain point?
Yeah. So what is it you're trying to overcome? And yourself, you've told me before, you'll have a member that you can have a bit of fun with, and you haven't seen him for a few days, and you go, "How you going? How you going, fatso?" And that'll motivate him. Yeah, but you can't say that to everybody. You have to adapt your management style to suit your customers, your members. So the same sort of thing can happen in advertising. So you need to work out what is the greatest benefit to the largest number of people in the audience, and then target that and keep driving at that.
That makes me. Oh, you go, Jace.
No, you're right. Finish that. I'll add to that in a sec.
Yeah, I was just going to say straight up, that just makes me think of a conversation we had many years ago. And I said, if we gave the job to you and said, all right, I've got a new budget, we're going to advertise on TV, how would you sell what we do? And I remember you saying you wouldn't show people in a gym doing the hard work. No. That's off-putting.
No.
You'd go straight to these benefits.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're talking about. It makes so much sense.
Unfortunately, what happens in most advertising today is that they show the product because that's what you know and you love that. And so you show people on the treadmill and they're smiling. That never happens. But this is what you do, and then you put a bit of library music on it, and then a long-winded voiceover that goes blah 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 blah, and so what? It's not motivating to me. But I remember years ago you had a program and you were sort of saying to people, think about it just being able to lift the groceries into the boot of your car. When you sort of translate that to every day, you go, yeah, but I struggle getting the groceries up to my bench, and this is what this exercise regime is about. And it makes it relative and it makes it easy to access. Otherwise, you have in your head, oh, gym, lycra, mirrors, everyone's bloody muscle bound and beautiful. I don't fit. And that's not the case. And until you can get them past that, get them over that hurdle, you're never going to get them in the door to experience it for themselves. And once they do, half the job is done. It's just getting them in the door.
Yeah. Couple of things from me. The first thing I'm hearing you say, James, is that features tell but benefits sell. The benefits people want to know about it. What's in it for me, as you said. The second one, just going back a little moment, we talked about the older demographic of let's call it 40 plus or 45 plus. Fitness is really noisy in the 40 and under. It's not very noisy at all in the 40 and over. I don't know if you tell me 40 and over in fitness. I don't know who I think of apart from us because this is what we do. But I don't see advertising for that stuff. There's thousands of gyms all over the place. Kiri used the example of Unley Road. There's 32 gyms on or just off of Unley Road in a very short radius. And she said ours is the only one that is targeted at 40s and over. Yet when we're not shouting anything 40s and over. And we're not shouting benefits, if that makes sense, which is interesting. And that's I don't mean that to be a shot at what we're doing, but it's an interesting kind of conversation.
Robinson Crusoe there, almost every category thinks it has to focus young. And yet the largest, most affluent market with disposable income is your late Gen Xers, or I'm going to use that term, people over 45. The people that have actually got money and time and reprioritize their lives are going, they're the ones that we should be talking to, and they're the ones that are getting off their backsides and doing something about it, but we're not targeting them. But that not just in this industry, almost in every industry, there's this misconception that it's got to be youth, it's got to be youth, it's got to be youth. They're all young and beautiful and tight and packaged bastards. Anyway, so we don't need to do too much to convince them, other than create the habit, which they're creating anyway. So if we can maintain that habit of a lifetime, fantastic. But it's the people like me that gyms weren't a thing, unless you were a gym junkie. And again, that's that negative connotation of what they were when I was growing up. You just didn't have any association with the gym.
How do you see that culture? Like, I guess it's changing anyway, but it's really slow. How would you see that? Like, the fitness industry does their best to sell it, and they're all we're novices. We get on Instagram, we make a very half-assed ad or whatever, but hypothetically, the government all of a sudden decides we're gonna look at healthcare rather than sick care, and we're gonna invest in people getting fit, strong, healthy for the future. And James, you're the man to lead the marketing campaign. Like, how should it be done? Like, how could it be done?
Probably the first thing is, sorry to burst your bubble, but it'll never happen because governments aren't proactive. Governments are only reactive. So they'd rather go, we're going to put the diabetes drug on the PBS than actually prevent diabetes. You know what I mean? So that's what they always do, because they've got a short-term 3-year window and they've got to be seen to be fixing things. Whereas what you're talking about, which is a whole of life wellness and health issue, is years, decades.
Yeah.
And no government today is going to want to invest that far down the future, because they're not going to get votes.
Wow.
So, and it happens, and in so many industries that I'm involved with, that this way won't invest. So the only way to make it really work is if they incentivized it. Again, don't hold your breath.
Yeah.
But if they made that sort of part, they involved that in, whether that's on Medicare rebates or the tax threshold, whatever it was. So those sort of things, people go, oh, okay. But putting all the negativity aside, if you were to approach it, and you guys are probably all too young to remember things like Life Be In It, and those community activities or promotions we used to have about put it in a bin, drop something sport, Life Be In It. They even tell you, look both ways before you cross the road. These things were constantly being told to you as part of our upbringing. So we were educated along the way all the time. Those things have gone now. They just simply don't happen. The government doesn't fund them, and they see it as not their responsibility or in the too hard basket. So, unfortunately, what you need in any successful advertising and promotion is there's a long and short. So the long of it is constant awareness in big media like television, press, radio, outdoor. Constant awareness. It says, we're here for you, we're here for you, we're here for you. Now, you want to buy that at any particular time, within a year or 2 years, but at some point you'll remember it. Right? And then in between that, you have promotional spikes. So your short term is then activities that actually generate inquiry or sales or leads. So with both of those things working in tandem, it's a long time. Sometimes it can take years to get great results. And most people were conditioned to be a society of instant gratification. So if we're doing something, spending money for 3 months and we're not seeing a massive spike, we go, that's it for it. It doesn't work.
Another thing that I've sort of been thinking about recently is I get on Instagram probably as much or probably less than the average person, and I keep seeing millions, thousands of reasons to exercise and people out there at all sorts of ages doing amazing things. And then I sort of realised the other day, why aren't more people acting when all this information's out there? And then I thought of that thing called the algorithm, where I think so many people that could do with moving their bodies, they're not seeing these things because of the way algorithms work.
Yeah, quite possibly. But also when the great misnomer with social media is that it's the panacea for all marketing ills. And it's proven. I mean, there are case studies, tests being done all around the world. There's one I just read this morning on LinkedIn from the UK that says social media is over-invested in by 20-fold, and it's the lowest performing media available in terms of return on investment. Now, what? And people go, television's dead. No one watches television. That's absolutely untrue. Television is actually in growth. It's not the television that we used to have, Sunday night movie, the whole family sits down and watches a Disney. That doesn't happen. It's what we call video on demand. So, the catch-up TV and that sort of thing, as well as multiple channels. I know people that invest purely in television. Again, that's wrong. I don't think it should be purely in any medium. But it does. I mean, Jerry Harvey isn't an idiot. I don't like his philosophy, but he's not a mug. And yet he takes out 12 pages and every Saturday paper across the nation. He's not just doing it for shits and giggles, right? There's a reason for that. And part of it is a long process. He is the biggest brand name in brown goods and white goods and furniture. And he's just there in front of you all the time. Even if you're not interested in it, and you get that bit of the paper out and you put it aside, and people are under 80 don't read the newspaper. Well, it's an audited medium that says that millions of people every week read it. Right? And one of the difficulties with digital media, whether that be social or digital paid media, is that it's self-regulated, self-reporting, and self-measured. It's the only media in the world that has that, because every other media is measured by a third party. So they'll come in and say, no, you can't, television, you can't sell your premium package at X price because your viewership is only this, and that's measured constantly. but you don't know what it is in.
So because they can measure it, it's overrated. Because like if you do a billboard, I don't know how the heck you.
Yeah, they measure them. They measure the amount of traffic that goes by. So Parramatta Road billboard in Sydney is going to cost a hell of a lot more than Main North Road at Parafield, purely by the traffic. So you're going to get 400,000 people a week. We're going to get 110,000. So that's kind of how they measure that. So.
And you could make the argument, but you would only glance at the billboard. But I think that's most people scrolling through Instagram.
Well, yeah, that's the thing.
Anyway, getting a quick glance. But
again, if that's the long campaign that's just out there constantly making you aware. So when Apple launches a new product, they've come up with their iPhone 64 or whatever it is, whatever the latest model is. They launch it on television and on outdoor.
And that's what they're doing. Young people when it's on television.
They'll also have digital as a component, and that'll often be their retail offer. They'll come in through a third party, through Vodafone or Telstra or someone like that, and drive a sale. But there'll be the constant presence of the mainstream messaging will be there, really simplified, that just says this is the greatest iPhone ever, or whatever. Better than that creatively, but that's what they do. And then underneath they have these targeted messages that drive sales. And so that it's not there's no short-term fix. Everybody's looking for one. Everybody thinks, we can just put a few posts out on social media and people will come running. The statistics are between 3 and 5% will see your feed. You'll see your post on a feed, and they're the people that follow you. Right. So, because you think about your own day, whatever you're sitting down for, you think, just 5 minutes, and all of a sudden you've wasted half an hour scrolling. You don't get to see every message that's put in front of you because it's no longer social media; it's commercial media.
Yeah,
you inundate it with real estate agents and supermarkets and all sorts of stuff. And in between that, there's things that you're actually interested in that you may or may not see. So, it's not highly effective because it's also a passive medium where you're just kind of scrolling. Just seeing what's happening in the day. You're not, into it.
So, and when we do see ads for fitness on television or whatever, the more traditional medias, gyms are usually screaming, "Come and do this cheaply." $10, $5, do it for free, do it forever. We'll pay you to come, whatever. Here's a free T-shirt. Does that get people over the line? Is that?
I think that's kind of misuse in the media. And I was saying before that the television should be about that high-end brand awareness that sells the benefit overall. This is how you're going to transform your life through fitness, right? Or whatever the message is. And you go, wow, and you might not pay attention to that. You might see it 20 times and not act on it. Then in the meantime, on social media and in other formats, maybe in radio and those sort of things, we're more promotionally driven. You go, hey, come in this week and you'll get a free T-shirt. That might get them over the line, as long as they have that consistent awareness of benefit that's built up over a long period.
The other thing I was going to ask about in terms of advertising, specifically advertising, we see these transformation style kind of, I guess, more posts than anything. Bill was 135 kilos and he's just now got to 95. Do you think that inspires action, or the person that is, the second Bill sitting at home who's 135 kilos go, well, God, that took him a year or 6 months. I'm not doing that. You could go either way.
The diet industry learned from that years ago that it didn't work. They would have here's Susie and she's and then, and 6 weeks later, she's lost 18 kilos or whatever the thing is. Most people didn't relate to that person because we're all different body shapes and different issues. I'm 2 meters tall and 115 kilos, so being overweight is not an issue for me. Not really. I'm probably with a bit of help, but I'm motivated by different things. So it's if they've done all the research and it says 65% of our audience are in this position, different story. But I don't think they do that. They just go, we've got a great case study. This guy shredded a whole heap of weight. He looks great. We'll put him up there. But I think what you said before is, we're inherently a lazy people. Humans are lazy. They're like water. They'll just take the path of least resistance. If it's downhill, great. If it's got to go uphill, someone's got to push it, pump it up there, because they're not going to go by ourselves. So we're lazy. That's just the nature of what we are. It's a lot easier to sit at home on your backside, scrolling through, doom scrolling, Hey Google, get me a pizza get on Uber. It's a lot easier to do that than actually. I know sometimes I think I wake up in the morning and think, I don't want to go to the gym, and I really just can't be bothered. When I go, I eventually get there and I do my session. I think, I'm glad I feel better.
Yeah.
But it's so easy it's a lot easier not to do it. It's why that the Ozemic pill is going so hugely in the States. It's a lot easier than actually changing your diet, eating well, living well, and exercising. That's a slow burn. If I can take a pill that loses me 20 kilos in 2 months, I'll take it.
Do you think the Ozempic may lead to down the track people could open up the door for people to start exercising?
Without a doubt. I've seen some case studies on it and in it from America, and there was one couple in particular that stuck in my mind, and they both lost about 20 kilos each. So you can imagine they would be fairly overweight to begin with. But what she started talking about was less about the weight that she lost and her energy and her activity with her young children, and how excited she was about that. And what it's done now over the 3 months they've been taking it is it's changed their mental attitude towards food. So they're thinking differently about, suppress their appetite, which is great. That sort of got the immediate thing, but now they're thinking differently about food. So they're thinking more healthily about food. And I said to Wade the other day that one of the biggest impacts it's had is on the American economy. There's been a real downturn in spending in fast foods, and it's actually affected the economy. You go, wow, that gives you an idea of the size of that problem and therefore the size of that market. But yeah, I think it can. But the thing is, if it's just left in isolation, here's your pills, see you in 3 months. I don't think so. It needs coaching and encouragement along the way. Well, certainly not in America, they can't, but we can't even afford it here to have someone to sort of nutritionally coach you and physically coach you. That would be the ideal, which is where these public awareness messages of life being it and so forth used to do a power of good, because they were there as constant reminders. We should get off your backside and move a bit.
I've got hope for that. If you take your 135 kilo, I'd rather people didn't do Ozempic, of course. I'd rather they do it through more natural means. But when they get down to 90 kilos, they might find actually moving's a lot easier now. I might think about getting stronger, and as you said, they might be more active with the kids. And I want more, because I think even when people start exercising and they start to feel the benefits, it can start to snowball to like, I want more, this is good, and if you're 100, like if you're carrying a lot of weight, the gym, it would be no fun at all. It'd be so hard.
Well, yeah, it's a difficult thing because people use that. I've known people personally that have gone, I said, what about, I'll show you this little, using your own body weight training program. It's nothing outrageous. It'll just help you. No, I can't. My ankles are shot. Yes, because you're carrying 25 kilos more than you should, mate. That's why your ankles are shot. And then they've actually lost weight through this one particular guy lost it through gastric banding, which I'm not a fan of either. But he lost a huge amount of weight very, very quickly. And all of a sudden he started running. And I said, what happened to your ankles? He goes, they're great. They're fine. And I said, did you ever think about why? But he never did.
Wow.
It was like, I can't because my ankles are shot. Because I played rugby when I was a kid and I've hurt them. And blah, blah, blah.
In a strange way, there could be a positive. Well, there's positive in it anyway, but I've heard a lot of doom stories about Ozempic and it upsetting the microbiome in stomachs and upsetting people's happiness levels and falling into depression. But hopefully that's a very small number of people.
There's going to be a side effect to any unnatural product you take. There's no doubt about it. But and look, as a pharmaceutical say, it's not about a patient cured. It's about a patient cured is a customer lost. So they're not in it. They're not in it to make the world healthy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're in it to make it, as per the whole debate with PBS at the moment. So hopefully the Americans keep their hands off that.
Me too.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah. I mean, I think so. If we kind of go back to, the I don't know. Let's say the wife talking to the husband, she goes to the gym, he's not going, he's 130 kilos. The ad on TV that screams, do this for $5 isn't going to work. Maybe this transformation, the the weight loss industry found that these that's not going to work for the wife. Let's say Helen talking to Bill. What is something that Helen can say, or like, I guess, short of nagging, which is that constant kind of advertising in the background, how is there anything that Helen can do, even subliminally, to kind of get, other than just keep going and keep kind of modeling?
I think there is, and I think not just Helen, but in an advertising sense, it's called Show Me the Horizon. Mm-hmm. What will my life look like in 10, 20 years' time? And, people who are over 40, they're constantly thinking about retirement, what's going to happen, can I afford to retire, what will my lifestyle be like, etc. So if you can project that image to them, saying, well, you've got a choice, how you live that life. You might get to retirement, but you're not able to enjoy it because you're not fit and capable enough. Or in fact, given that you're obese, you may not even get there anyway. So, but rather than making it a threat, talk about the positives. If you were this way, if you just did two days a week at the gym, just 2 days a week is all I'm saying. When you're 60, that's going to mean you can have a really fun, active, retirement. We're going to go off traveling overseas and whatever the thing is, and then you've got to adapt that to each person. But sell me the horizon. What's it going to look like? And don't talk about the work I've got to do to get there. Minimise that. I don't want to make it too hard. Look, just start with 2 days. That's all I'm asking. 2 days in the gym, and then we'll just see how we go. If you feel better, if you hate it after 6 years, I'll let you stop. But just kind of nurturing people, because people don't like to be pushed too hard. They'll push back on that and go no. So I think gentle coaxing, but selling the benefits again. What does it look like? How good can my life be? What am I doing now or can't do now that I would love to be able to do in the future?
Yeah, James, what are your thoughts then on showing the long-term benefits versus the immediate benefits? Because my take is that people want instant gratification. A lot of people could not give a hoot about what you're going to do for me in 2 years. That's 2 years away. I don't want to wait 2 years. I want results now. Where's the instant gratification? Because all I know instantly is it's going to hurt and it's going to be hard. So what about, because there is instant gratification with exercise, you feel great that day. There are benefits that day from a workout. So what are your thoughts on selling that either as well as or instead of, showing the long-term benefits?
Yeah, I think both of them have great value. And it can be difficult because often people equate short-term gains to body shape change, and that's often a slow burn. But things just like exercising oxygenates the brain, helps you think better, you become a better problem solver, you're better at your job. Even the simplest things like that, and they're quite measurable and easy. But the short-term gains are as important. You just got to make sure you balance those. Again, that long message versus those short messages. So I think that they've both got an absolute critical role to play. One of the most difficult things, and I've never experienced this, what used to be called the leaning challenge. I'm not sure it's called now. And I went on that, and most of the men that did it, within a couple of weeks, it was quite obvious their physical shape change, but not many of the women had that because they're metabolically built different and fearful of heavy weights. So that's a really tough sell for them because they only think about body shape change, and there's so many other benefits, to your dietary benefits, your brain capacity, your ability to sleep and to relax. I remember when I started going to the gym, people go, "Hey, you just look more chilled." you just become a bit more at peace with yourself. You feel a bit better, and you're a bit more relaxed. Hard to sell that, but it's not impossible.
Yeah,
sure.
Does the word exercise or workout need to be rebranded, relabeled? Like, does that help? They, negatively connotated?
Yeah, I think it does, because it immediately conjures up, running, treadmills, and all that sort of thing, which is part of fitness and general exercise. But I think, when you look at that younger market thinking about more well-being holistically, and it's not just the physical well-being, it's the mental well-being that you actually get from physical exercise. And mental health is a massive issue, particularly for an emerging market. Older people don't want to talk about it. and I work on them in the mental health sector. So it's still even now a bit of a taboo. They just want to sweep it under the carpet. But younger people are quite open to embracing it. And I think physical exercise, coupled with diet, have a massive impact. And also the social factor.
Yeah.
Coming out amongst other people and engaging with other people. So all of those things, they're really potent messages, particularly, I think, for a younger, more emerging market.
Mm.
So I think the industry's got valuable assets, but it just keeps selling it the same way. They just keep, then on top of that, you've got an issue not an issue, but as every brand does. How are you going to make your offer distinctive from every other gym?
Yeah.
Everyone else in the fitness category. So you've got distinctive assets in your colours, your green and blue, in your logo, but then perhaps in your tone of voice, how you express yourselves, is going to make your messaging distinct from everyone else. Because let's say we wave a magic wand and we've got a couple of $1 million and we can go out tomorrow and start advertising, and I build this amazing campaign for that, and you give me half the money. But we do all this and it's fantastic, and it starts to work. Every other gymnasium franchise in the country is going to be straight in copying it. So you got to make sure that how you do it is distinctively unique to you, and that's a skill that people like me in my industry bring to our clients all the time, because quite often what's out there is very generic, and you can't distinguish one brand from another.
It certainly feels in fitness, because it all is that one tone, slamming a deal, not really selling benefits. It's just, hey, here we are, we're big, we're cheap, come and train with us. So the Revos and the Derrimits, the Anytimes of the world, and yet they're the ones that seem to have this stranglehold on at least the membership numbers. I don't think their strike rate of helping people get healthier and fitter is better than ours.
No.
But by golly, they've got, so much of the market, and we've got obviously a small slice of the market. So,
But also be interested to see what their retention's like. As Wade said before, I think the best business you've got is the best new business you can gain is a business you already have. So retention is incredibly valuable. If your back door's open and people and those sort of franchises you're talking about, they're just coming. It's a revolving door. So they have to do a lot of big advertising and marketing initiatives to get people, because 2/3 of them are leaving, within a year.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I've experienced with EFM, and I've only been here with at Wade's EFM, Ross, Trevor and McGill, but the longevity of membership that I can see is pretty outstanding. There's a lot of people been here for over a decade. And that says a lot. And I think even that as a promotional tool, come and talk to our members. Our members have been with us for 15 years or whatever it is. To go, wow, if they've been there that long, and you see them, they're not gym junkies. They're not all sort of pumped, wearing all the latest fashion. They're just average mums and dads and nanas and papas and that sort of stuff, and loving life and having a good time and grabbing a coffee afterwards. There's a bit of a community, and all of those things I think add up to a much better offering than a gym. And I think that's where I would be striving to sort of push the brand, that more sort of community-based engagement where there's fun. It's all down to fitness. That's what we're here for. But it's wrapped up in a more human and positive way.
It's funny. I think someone new into fitness or EFM, and I had someone say it to me the other day that's quite new, that this is a luxury, and I thought about that comment for a while, and I think if you went to a lot of people that thrive every day on exercising, wouldn't call it a luxury, that they would be calling it a necessity. So and I'm sure there's plenty of people that have gone from thinking that this type of thing is a luxury and it becoming, I don't know, dependent, or realizing how much it does for them, they would not give it up because it's become a necessity. So I think that's sort of an interesting one I was confronted with the other day.
I mean, that's that value proposition. A lot of people will go, and I know people, my brother was one who'd say, oh, I can't afford gym membership, that's way too expensive. I found this second-hand treadmill on Gumtree I'll go and board. I nearly broke my back carrying the damn thing into his shed. Anyway, 6 months later, I said, how are you going on the treadmill? Oh, don't worry about that. So if you could go into people's beds and get their thigh master, fat exploders, whatever those things are, they've got them littered around the place. The money they've spent on that, if you converted that to your gym membership, you'd be way ahead. But again, it's trying to get people across the line to understand that. And I think fear of locking in is an issue. Yeah. They go, what if I go and I don't like it? Yeah, and I've got to pay to get out. I've got to spend. People get a bit frightened about that sort of thing.
Well, yeah, the gym industry has created that themselves. So in their way, they've been their own worst enemy.
Yeah.
And you think creating these types of
the
things.
whole world is moving towards renting. We rent our music now. We rent our television now. So everything is like pay as you go, and no locking. Yeah. Come and go as I please, and that's how our commercial society is heading. So I think there's things that need to be thinking about that at a business level.
Yeah.
And then it's your job once they're in the door to keep them satisfied and keep them coming back. Not the threat of losing money.
And that's I think we've been around nearly 35 years and we've never had lock-ins, so that onus has been on us to provide that good service to keep people coming in.
I was going to say, like the younger demographic, I mean, they're conditioned into wellness. Can, from a marketing advertising point of view, can that kind of wellness like mindset that the people under 30 seem to have in abundance be transferred to an older demographic as they get into the retirement? Can that kind of wellness thought enter their mind now, or is that a lot of work? Because it seems to me that the young ones.
I think that whole wellness issue should all encompass the industry or your brand. I think then there's because it's beyond. It's not just the physical workout. That's a massive part of it, but there's a total benefit. So there's we talked before about the mental health benefits and I think even the physical form of a gymnasium will start to change. Your introduction to things like yoga and Pilates and those sort of things, and way back in the day they used to have cafes, which was really just an excuse for people who weren't actually exercising to come and sit and have a coffee and a chat. But if that's treated from a wellness point of view, in terms of organic and supplements and all those sort of things, it becomes an entire wellness package. I think that's for me quite an interesting territory that is appealing to the current younger market, but also easily accessible from an older market's point of view, because we're talking about your entire health and well-being, not just your fitness, even though fitness is the absolute core to it. So I think that there's a holistic approach that's far more palatable to bigger, broader audience.
Yeah, because I'd like to think of this from the point of view of the person who's trying to make their partner or their friend or a son, daughter, whomever, feel a little bit better, be a bit more active, and how do they, rather than going, the negative route, like you're going to get diabetes, you're going to do this, how do we help them help someone else? And even if your people are sitting there listening now going, if they've got this far, they're doing well, go, all right, yes, I just need one more little push and I'm going to go and inquire. And I think maybe that wellness, the whole idea that your mind, body, spirit can be improved as a result of taking the next steps into fitness, that's where the general person can help the person standing next to them. And as an industry, we need to probably head, rather than showing someone running on a treadmill that inspires no one.
Absolutely. I mean, I always say accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative. Don't talk about what the fact that you're going to get diabetes or that you're going to get that, whatever those things are. Just talk about how good your life will be, all the benefits of that. From physically, mentally, spiritually, all of those things will add up to a much better, rewarding life. You go, okay.
It's funny, we help people do these things, get fit, get strong, lose weight, do all these things. But I said to someone the other day, the biggest kick or thrill I get out of my job is watching people grow in confidence. Easily the best thing.
Yeah. Sorry, say that again.
I was saying, for me, the most rewarding part of my job is watching people grow in confidence. Like I've seen so many people go from quite a timid type of person that would be lucky to say hello to someone to just a complete, like I've seen a big transformations where they walk in, say hello to everyone, chatting to everyone, and then I see them, they go off and they get a better job and like move out of home, and I've just seen some, I just think that's the greatest gift we could help someone. Yeah, and when do we talk about that? Like we don't even really talk about it's just so far-reaching.
I think again, it's like most industries, you're focused on your product rather than on the benefit of your product. And when we're just in this discussion now, we've already teased out far greater benefits than just fitness.
Yeah,
fitness is always going to be the underpinning issue, but it's all of these other benefits that come along with that. I might have to go and have a session this afternoon.
Just ask one quick question. You personally, if you didn't put in all the hours in the gym you have, how do you think you'd be traveling right now?
Oh, pretty bad. I mean, I've always had back problems, and I've now found this new, relatively 18 months regime that's kind of really helped me in that regard. So, so that with a dodgy reconstructed knee, I reckon I would be in pretty bad shape. I reckon I really would. So, and so for me, that mobility and flexibility is key to enjoying a fit and active life.
Going on holidays, just being able to do whatever you want. Really.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there's always going to, as you get older, there's always going to be fallbacks. You're going to injury and illness and that sort of stuff, but you can bounce back a lot quicker when you've got a bit of fitness behind you. A bit of strength.
As a fitness industry, we've got a lot to do better, and not just for our own business, but just to help people. Like, this is why we're doing the podcast, so that people get the information that they need without having to second guess anything. And if you're sitting there again, as I've mentioned a few times, sitting there and trying to figure out how you get your better or worse half off the lounge and getting fit and healthy, there are some strategies mixed in that nice long conversation that you can think about and put into action. And as a gym fitness industry, I feel like we need to be better at portraying what the real benefits are. And as a EFM franchise, we provide all these benefits, and I think we need to think a little bit more deeply. And in the end, we're only trying to help people when they need the help. So it's not about money. It's not about our business. It's not about buying a yacht. It's about how do we get people to get the best out of themselves, live longer, better, essentially. So thank you for that, James. That was fantastic conversation. Really appreciate your time.
No drama. I hope it helped.
All
right. That'll do us for another week. That's the EFM Health Club Podcast. Find us on Instagram primarily the EFM Health Club Podcast, EFM McGill, EFM Mawson Lakes, and EFM Westmead.
And if you're interested and want to look into some of the stuff that James does when he's not giving his time up to help us out, where you've got your own website, which is
jamesrickard.com.au.
and you can see some of the cool ads and stuff that he's been involved in over the years. Really, actually, I'll embarrass him here. I remember a few years back, he said, I won't be here next week. I've got to go overseas. And I said, oh, what's that for? And he said, I've got to go to France. Oh, what are you doing there? And, just some award. So he won a Cannes award for one of the ads he was involved in.
Wow.
So I was very proud of him.
And that was incredible too, by the way. Very good.
We've been watching. Yeah, and that's why Adelaide's so popular, the Barossa Valley in particular.
Absolutely,
yeah. All right. That'll do us, boys. Thanks a lot. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys. See you later. Bye.